You're
Greetings, good sir.
Yo, niggas trying to get flued out. I don't know about you.
I don't get it.
Nah, City Girls?
Canceled. I canceled the City Girls.
Yo, they have a new challenge.
Don't care. Canceled.
You have to see the challenge.
Canceled.
Okay.
What is it? Is it the titty challenge?
No.
It's the what challenge?
I forgot the song because that's not what the song wasn't important.
All right, so what's the challenge?
It's twerking.
Are you going to say what the challenge is?
I don't know what the name of the challenge is. I just know it's twerking involved.
Okay. Anyway, so we're the two.
Doesn't matter about the song. It's all about the twerking.
But you introduced the topic as, oh, they got a new challenge. What is it? I don't know.
I didn't expect to go that far. I was just saying I was trying to get flued out.
You didn't expect. All right, that's fine. So this is the Two Black Boys podcast. I'm your co-pilot, Davey World Peace.
My name's Edward Zephyr.
And we have a very special guest. I got my man Viva LaBurns in the building.
What's good, everybody?
Young Sweater King.
Yes, the Sweater Poppy, the Bun King.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Keep dropping the AKs.
Oh, okay. King of Flatbush.
Okay.
All right. Mr. One Swipe on the Metro card.
Okay.
AKA your girlfriend's favorite artist.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
My girlfriend?
Anybody's girlfriend.
Wow.
I gotta check out iPod.
King of Flatbush. Did someone give you that name?
No. I just walked around and waited for the B41 for a long time.
Got it. Okay.
So they owe me.
So you took over Flatbush. All right. That's cool. Nice, man. So we got the creator of Haitian Game Night.
Yes. Haitian Game Night is a fun monthly game night that we doing right now in Brooklyn. So, if anybody's from like a Haitian background, especially a Haitian American background, I know y'all background.
Yeah.
But what you call it? So when you go out to any party, especially like when we first started turning like 21, it was just like, okay, yeah, Caribbean night, this, that, and they'll play that one Kompa, generic Kompa song for 10 years, like a decade-old song.
Yep.
And I'm just like, yo, DJ, we waited this club for 6 hours. We waited online for mad long. The bodyguard molested us. Like, why can't I get 2 songs? Why can't I get 3? Like, my people did not die for this. Like, I'm not asking for a whole set. I'm like, yo, dancehall, soca, hip hop, give me 2 songs. I'm here for 6 hours. We getting bottle service. That's really good. Then, so now that I'm getting older, and I notice, there's a lot of Haitians, a lot of Haitian Americans in New York City. And when I go to Florida, they're just so, like, the way they interact is so different. Like, the Haitian people our age, like in their late 20s, early 30s, they're running shit. And then us, we're just like, we're doing stuff in real life, but we're not really networking with each other in terms of just being Haitian outside of church.
And I don't even go to church. So.
Yeah, me either. So the 2 no church boys.
So I was just like, what if we give you that, some compa, some soca, some Afro beats. We play, no one is there in the first hour, but we play R&B in the first hour too.
Okay.
But nobody shows up.
We pulling up late. We pulling up late to the function.
Of course.
7 is kind of, it's early for me.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. We do that.
I don't like to pull up early because I end up having to set up.
Really?
I have to, like, a lot of times I pull up, they be like, yo, can you help us with the chairs? I'll be like, come on, man. I don't want to help with the chairs.
Nah, I feel you. Yeah, I usually.
It's called community service.
I don't like community service. I'm sorry.
Like, fuck them kids. Y'all good.
How often do you have it?
Right now we're doing it once a month. We don't have a set date and time. My partner DJ Teddy Grams.
Shout out Teddy Grams.
Shout out Teddy. We do everything off feel. Like,
yo, Teddy doesn't say much.
On the mic?
No, in general.
Yeah, he's chill. He's a chill, laid back person.
And not like in a bad way. Not like he's like quiet, but like he's quiet. Like he doesn't say much. Like,
he's like,
unless you engage him in conversation, but he's generally like in the cut.
Yeah. So I grew up with Teddy.
Dope. Okay.
Teddy lived in my cousin's building, and we were the young we were the young guys on the block. So when all our, like, my older cousins,
right,
and everybody else on the block used to play football, my mother wouldn't allow me to play football. So they had like all the kids that was 16 when I was 10 would, even though I was fat, it was just like, nah. There's like, your mom said nah. And then Teddy was a year younger than me, so he was 9, so he wasn't allowed to play. But we'd be watching people from the windows.
Got it.
So
Was it an age thing, or your mom just didn't want you to get hurt?
both?
Okay,
both.
that's fair.
My mom is overprotective. So,
Surprise! Is your mom Haitian?
Yes. And so then, what you call it? So, when I went to college, Teddy started DJing, and he used to always send me his mixes on Facebook. And then, like, I used to like give my critique or whatnot. And then that's when I started doing parties with like Twan and the rest of the guys at City College.
Got it. Okay.
So then we just kept bumping each other in the train station. Like, yo, I told him, we're going to do something. I have no idea, but I really mean that when I do say that.
Right.
I'm not like one of those people like, yo, let's build, bro.
And take a picture and say something's coming up, right?
Yeah.
I hate that, man.
But I try to make promises I can't keep either. Because a lot of people do that. Like, I got you.
Right. Yeah, I feel the same way. It's like too many announcements, not enough movements.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. So yeah, I can agree with that for sure. So yeah, I mean, I've attended 3.
Yo,
I've enjoyed everyone that I've been at.
Your presence, greatly appreciated.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Where do you have it?
It's at Laku Cafe. It's this new Haitian American cafe in Crown's Height. I'm really glad. You know what's funny about Haitian Game Night? Less than half the people there are Haitian, which is awesome.
Yeah, I don't think it's exclusive to just Haitian people.
Oh, no.
I've like invited people and they're like, oh, is it just like for Haitian people? And it's like, I'm like, that sounds pretty stupid for you to even mention that. No, it's just geared towards folks that are of a Haitian background. And I like that because, as you mentioned before, like, there's a lot of spots that promote Caribbean.
Yeah.
And the problem is most people associate the Caribbean with like Jamaica or with like Trinidad or like folks that have like not an accent that's Haitian.
Yeah.
Right? And the music follows suit. So it's like, oh yeah, it's Caribbean night. And it's like, it's not all the Caribbean, is it?
So what's
right? Dancehall and soca are that's not just the Caribbean. That's not only like what the Caribbean has to offer.
So what's interesting as Caribbean people, we have a lot in common, but since Haitians speak Creole primarily, and the second language is French, and I think the third language is English.
Right.
That's where the differences, and especially the Caribbeans moving to United States,
right,
where the second generation, third generation, it gets lost in translation. Like, what are these guys eating? Like, yo, we eat oxtail too. Like, we eat rice and peas too.
Yeah, it's the same
we might
thing.
call it something else.
Right.
But it's all the same thing. So I just wanted to create a space where, hey, I'm not inviting you to, a communion or a ball or a fete or like Sweet Mickey's performing where everything's in Creole. You can't understand anything. You can't understand the jokes of the music. But it's just like, hey, I just wanted to dabble a little bit. It's just like, oh, okay, I could hear an hour of Kompa music. I already know soca. I already know R&B, this, that. I intentionally don't speak in Creole too much. My Creole's even not that strong, but the Christmas
ditto.
the Christmas one, I was really turned up. So at the end, I was like, I was talking shit in Creole, but I try not to speak Creole too much. And then another thing, there's no gatekeeping. For example, like from my experience of being Haitian, like people that are born in Haiti will tell you like, you're not a real Haitian, you're not this.
Yeah,
which
I get that all the time.
Which is counterproductive to world dominance and nation building.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
like
you don't have time for that.
Your goal is to make like your nationality goal is to make as many offsprings in different part of the world and spread your cultures. So when it's time, because I remember one time my father was telling me I was not Haitian. I was like, yo, next time Trump calls you a shithole or a shithead or whatever, I'll be like, don't come to me and tell me how to vote. Don't ask ask me to send money, help you send money. I'm like, I'm not Haitian. Don't like you can't.
So why
you
does he say that? Why does he say that though?
Oh, because I understand their position where they're from a different generation where there is no middle. It's either where you're born is where you're from. Where
interesting. Okay,
we're growing up with and especially in music as well, like, whereas like you see how music now, like you can't really say if this is hip hop, rap, or R&B,
right?
Because I grew up with Mary J. Blige the same time I grew up with DMX,
right?
So now that I'm an artist, it's just like I'm not gonna be like, okay, it's rap time or it's singing time. It's like they're just same thing of being American and Haitian. It's just like they're both my existence. Where someone that's 30, 40 years older than me, that's from like grew up in the 70s, 80s, can't comprehend that.
I don't know. I've never had anyone say that you're not really Haitian to me, like in my family.
Not in my family, but definitely like, at work. because I don't speak Creole, but I understand it.
Yeah.
So a natural born Haitian that they speak Creole, they're like, yo, you're losing our culture.
That is, it's actually true.
It is. I think there's a level of truth to that.
That is true. Like, I definitely want to learn the Creole language because I don't want the language to be lost on me.
I'm gonna actually there's someone I've met through another person where she's a linguistics teacher at NYU and she runs her own academy in Flatbush where she does like 3 yearly sessions teaching you how to speak Creole any level, whether you just can understand it, whether you just can speak it, or like.
Or, does that also include writing?
Yes.
Okay, I think that's probably like
because
my weakest side is like I can't write in Creole for shit.
Yeah.
My mother can't write in Creole also because at the time when she was there, it was illegal. So my mom was like, how she wants to learn.
illegal for women or
No, it was illegal for everyone to write Creole.
Oh, wow.
That's something when I talked to her, I was like, wow.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know about that.
Oh, me neither. That's news to me.
Oh, wow.
When was that? Like 70s, 80s? Or
Yeah.
before that.
It was before that.
Okay.
Because my mom
60s
came like
or
in the 70s, 80s, late 70s, 80s.
Your mom came to the United States 70s, 80s.
Yeah. So
Okay,
this was
got
probably
it.
50s, 60s.
Got it.
And so, like with Haitian game night, the reason I did it, to be honest, I've been waiting for years for someone to do something like that.
Right.
And I just been sitting down like, yo, I can't. There's mad Haitians in New York City, Haitian Americans. If someone did something, I would go. And then like years are passing. I'm like, wait, I gotta be a leader. Like after I reanalyze my life as like, I can't sit down and complain about things that are not happening.
Especially if you have like the means in order to do them or can work towards that goal. So I agree with that too. I enjoy it a lot just because like I get to listen to Kompa and it's like we mentioned before, like you don't get to hear that in most places that you go to that are promoting the Caribbean. So I think there is and then there's a fucking shitload of Haitian people in New York. Like especially within the 5 boroughs, like there's a shit ton of people that are from Haiti. Like even in this area that you're in now, like
It's a little Haiti right here, honestly.
St. Albans, Queens Village, like this is where a lot of Haitian people live. Rosedale, Laurelton, like in this area,
Boulevard, the whole
the whole like Linden Boulevard, pretty much from like shit. I guess you could say from like Francis Lewis down.
Yeah.
Would be considered like Little Haiti for the most part, and even but down by Jamaica and like in the 220s, the 212s, and all that. So there's definitely areas for growth, and especially in fucking
Flatbush
in Brooklyn, man, Flatbush, Utica. Like
I'll
come
be
on,
in Flatbush feel like I'm home.
Fucking North Strand, man. That's Little Haiti right there too.
Yeah, they just officially renamed it Little Haiti.
Right.
So it's just like that's really good. And like we really gotta step it up in terms of we just can't wait or criticize our parents for what they did and didn't do.
Right. That's true. Yeah, I think that time is like past. I mean, especially at this point, it's like we definitely do have to step up. So so since this is an open format, there's not really like
we chilling.
It's not really like a rundown. You're a sports guy.
Yes.
What would you say you're strong? You're basketball, football. You can do both. You said.
NBA, NFL is like that's what I really follow the most. But what I love about sports is the strategy on the field and also in the boardroom. Because now you get to evaluate people. You get to evaluate people the way they think.
Right.
And that's the best thing about sports. Like, why'd you draft this person?
Right.
This person was in the news. Why were you so quick to release him for doing this, but slow to release this person? And you see people's moral and ethical code and just how they view the world.
Do you think morals like belong in sports though? Do you believe like people have like a I mentioned this because of like the NFL, right?
All right.
The NFL is always mentioned in some sort of like moral dilemma, whether it be like a Kaepernick or with like a Ray Rice.
Okay, the NFL messed up with the Pac-Man Jones situation. I'm going to tell you
Which one?
That's a good one. So, Pac-Man, remember there was 1 year Pac-Man was being a hot boy, like 5 stars on GTA, 5 stars, right?
This is when he was with the Titans. I think when he was on the Titans.
He was in Las Vegas. He was getting fights, getting shot at, shooting back.
That wasn't when he was on the Bengals, was it?
No. I think this is
Titans. Okay.
Because
even with the Bengals be hot boys too.
Right, the whole team. Okay. All right. So continue. Sorry.
So then now what he did where Pac-Man Jones was wild. I think Pac-Man like created Sports Center in the sense of you know how like there's nothing to talk about during the summer? He gave ESPN 2 months of material.
Right.
ESPN be trying to cover girls volleyball during the summer. They're just trying to find stuff.
The spelling bee.
And then, no, that spelling bee be crazy. And your kids go, I'm like,
Yo, that's cutthroat, yo.
Yeah.
I can't do it, man.
And then their parent, you come in second place. The parent don't even give you a hug. Congratulations. They're like, no food.
You've shamed us.
So then, so now I understood that he had to discipline Pac-Man because that's why they hired a sort of Roger Goodell.
Right.
Like, yo, this is getting wild. So now Pac-Man Jones was the player conduct example. He was the first one.
Right.
So then now they're so used to people getting arrested during the summer for like drug possession. It happens to black people a lot.
Right.
DUIs, this, that. And it's just like, okay, we're going to fine you. We're going to fine you. When you play the moral game in business, you're going to, it's a slippery slope,
right? Because
now you've championed yourself as the moral authority,
right?
And then now later on with domestic abuse, Ray Rice and whatnot, the issue is there's a lot of things, whether it's law or in real life, you cannot police,
right?
Like whether it was Ben Roethlisberger, 2 rape charges,
we call him Ben Rapisberger on this pod. Just saying.
Not mad at that.
Sorry. I mean, like.
So then, or if it's something where there's no video camera, even if there is a video camera, context, and then it's almost like if Peyton Manning did something, Peyton Manning is worth too much money for you to just dead him.
Right.
Like was it Robert Kraft that had the
solicitation
of the prostitutes? The thing about it, have you noticed? There's no network that's gonna bash Robert Kraft for participating in the prostitutes.
Well, when you say no network, we're talking about ESPN specifically.
Yeah. So no major network because they don't want to damage their business relationships
with the NFL.
Yeah, and that's where they make it.
I don't think the players are going to do it either because they're just like, what did he do? There's nothing wrong with that.
But if it was a second string running back, every commentator's ready to give you that 20 minutes. But if you paid attention during each segment, the last couple days, they're just like, well, this is bad. But no one ripped him. No one roasted him. No one ripped him.
I don't really watch ESPN mainly because like they're too close to the NFL. So like they aren't as critical as a lot of, I guess, like
they can't be
independently. Like, so I usually listen to like other pods that kind of like, or just like kind of people on like on Twitter, like those type of handles, just because I feel like ESPN like kind of waters down a lot of the arguments.
ESPN is losing a lot of business, honestly, because they're trying to get sold. Like they can't, like people are trying to sell them off, and they're just not even worth it.
Well,
they lost a lot of.
ABC owns ESPN.
Disney owns
Disney, right?
In terms of business, I honestly love all the layoffs that they made. I know that sounds fucked up, but in terms of business, they needed it because they had just too many people for too many shows.
Right.
A couple years ago, and I'm just like, y'all doing the most, and everything's switching towards digital.
Right.
Now they're doing the ESPN Plus, and Disney got their own thing coming out. ESPN already has their thing. Kobe has a show.
Right.
I think
the shows started becoming too redundant. Like the whole like panel of like pundits talking about sports. It's like it's very redundant. Like
it's very redundant, but it makes a lot of money. Because depending on your work shift, or people are just obsessed. Like if I'm talking about Kevin Durant, I got the morning show talking about it, then the afternoon show, then the afternoon show, then the evening show.
I say that to say some shows are more popular than other, which is why certain shows get canceled. Like for instance, I really liked His and Her with Jamel Hill. And,
that was one of
Michael
their best
Smith.
shows.
But they got rid of it.
They
I know they
got promoted
to the 6, but a lot of people didn't like that. And by people, I mean white people.
The thing about it,
didn't like them on prime time. Yes, because like 6 o'clock is like prime time Sports Center.
Yeah,
like 6 o'clock. Well, they have the morning shift, that 6 o'clock shift, and then they have the after the game shift, like that 11 o'clock ESPN. And they were on the 6, which is like the main shit. And people didn't really like that. Apparently, like the ratings went down for them.
So the issue with that in terms of ESPN, their morning shows, First Take and His and Hers, were doing better than their evening shows.
That's interesting. Okay.
So First Take became a monster with Skip and Stephen A.
It was
and they had the celebrities coming through all the time.
Right.
It was just unstoppable.
Right.
It was on ESPN 2 at the time.
Yes. So now they gave them, they're like, okay, we got Sports Center holding us down for 30 years, and ESPN2 is like, we'll give you a chance network. That's what ESPN2 was. And then they're looking at the ESPN2 shows are doing better than the ESPN1 shows.
Right.
So now they got like an issue where it's just like, okay, we're paying all these people for the first show, but the second show people that we giving a chance to are outperforming.
Right.
So that's why they moved the ESPN2 shows to the ones.
True.
And I really loved his and hers because they did the skits and it was whatnot.
hilarious.
But I already knew Jamel Hill, since she started getting popular, wasn't going to work there long.
Yeah. I think she's just.
So
I like Jamel Hill a lot.
Yeah.
There was a point in time where I didn't like her just because like some of her takes were kind of like, eh.
Yeah.
But as far as like now and like just within the last like 4 years, like she's been like, she rides for black people.
Yes.
I feel like she gives you that. I feel like that show gave a lot of context to sports that are mainly played by people of color. And that was something that I mentioned even like on my Facebook. I was like, yo, there's not enough like black sports journalists that have access to the locker room as much as like a lot of the other it's still a white person dominated field in terms of like sports journalism. And I feel like the biggest problem for me is a lot of the context within sports, because sports and music are tied together.
Yeah.
So a lot of the folks that are in like let's say the NBA, NFL are tied to hip hop, whether it be their name get dropped in a song or they grew up on hip hop, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of the contexts are missed by a lot of these sports writers, sports journalists.
So a lot of issues, whether it's sports, music, or even legal, it's the media in the sense of who's shifting the narrative.
Correct.
So it doesn't matter what the story is. The narrative is the most popular because it's easy to manipulate people.
Correct.
Everyone's manipulated. We could be manipulated. Anyone could be. So just keep driving. Like, for example, if you watch ESPN, it's LeBron versus Jordan. I don't know where this narrative kept coming up, but that's the narrative, right? If it was maybe you as the executive producer, it would have been like, is KD better than LeBron?
But that narrative comes up too. But I get what you're saying. The overarching narrative is always going to be LeBron and Jordan, mainly because like LeBron is, you could say, is the greatest player of this generation and the former for like Michael Jordan in his era as well too. So I guess that was inevitably going to be the narrative that was going to be talked about.
Yeah,
I feel like as players get better, they start to enter into the conversation, like a Kevin Durant entered into that conversation after, like, if I'm not mistaken, it had to have been like after the 2017 finals, if I'm not mistaken.
I thought he was, I always thought he was up there with LeBron. He just didn't have the hardware.
Absolutely. I think.
But after the second championship, I was just like, yeah.
But the crazy thing is we talk about narrative, right? Now I think an interesting part of narrative and a lot of things that gets influenced is social media. So like social media has so much of an effect on how the narrative gets played out. Yeah. That while we should be making the debate about Kevin Durant being better than LeBron, not better than LeBron, but there should be a debate about those two players. But really it's like, oh, Kevin Durant went to the Golden State Warriors, so his championships don't mean anything. Championships don't mean anything anymore. You know what I mean? Like, which is like crazy to think, because like the main argument against LeBron and Jordan were rings, and now we're saying like rings don't matter, rings matter, but it depends on how you get them. Like, you know, and that's how the narrative like tends to like just change. So.
And I think that's why Durant went to Golden State, because the narrative and players say it doesn't get to them. It gets to them when you going everywhere. It's like, oh, Carmelo, you didn't win a championship, you suck. Yeah. Durant, you lost to Miami, you suck. Right. And it's just like, okay, you guys say I need a championship to be valid. Right. I'm gonna win a championship, and it's like, oh wait, you're not valid anymore because you.
We don't like the way you did it. You went to a team that was 73-9 that beat you in the playoffs, so now it doesn't count. And, you know, now this will be another narrative discussed in this offseason, right? Yeah. Because the potential of now, if the Warriors win again, I could almost see a situation where KD is out.
Okay.
You know, which is kind of crazy to think, like, I'm going to leave this like team that's like going to win championships for like 1,000 years.
Okay, this KD thing is Game of Thrones. If y'all don't know, this KD.
You did mention that to me.
Yeah. Okay. So
Explain it to the listeners.
all right. So the whole thing.
I
about,
don't watch Game of Thrones, but I
like
kind
Game
of
of
get
Thrones,
the.
Yo, you gotta watch Game of Thrones.
Sorry, I have like a limit on how much TV, like how many shows I can watch at one point.
Okay,
You
okay,
know? So
okay.
it's like Game of Thrones, right? It's what, 7 seasons?
It's worth it though. It's worth
I'm
it.
not saying it's not
It's
worth
so
it.
worth
I'm not
Yeah.
saying it's not worth it. What I'm saying is it's a lot of show to watch.
Yeah.
It's like Breaking Bad. I didn't watch that. I didn't watch Sons of Anarchy. I didn't watch those shows. I'm just not into
I'm not
it.
gonna blame you though, because Game of Thrones it hurt my heart multiple times.
Yeah, I feel like if you watch the first 2 episodes, you're not gonna be able to put the.
I feel
remote
like
down.
I've tried to watch like, I know it's like one of those shows that like start off slow.
Yeah.
It's like Boardwalk Empire. Like there's a build up to the show, and I can respect that, and I respect folks that watch it. It's like one of those things. Like I know I'll get around to it, just not right now.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
like
Okay,
there's a.
continue.
Anyway,
What were you saying
sorry.
What were we saying about Game of Thrones?
Oh yeah. So the NBA the last 3 years has been a Game of Thrones. This summer, most of the teams have been preparing this for 3-4 years ago. So the issue came down. You know, people are moving teams. Once they saw Kevin Durant went to Golden State, people's like, if he went to Golden State, he can leave Golden State. No one saw that as the rest of his career. Right? So
Fair
now,
enough.
so once he made the leap from OKC to Golden State, Clippers had to look at it once Chris Paul wanted to leave, and it's like, okay, Chris Paul's gone. They traded him, got some assets. Then
Did they trade Chris Paul? He was a free agent. He
he was a
declined player option.
free agent, but when he wanted to go to Houston, to make it easy, they did a sign and trade.
Got it. Okay.
So now that trade happened. DeAndre Jordan got traded. Blake Griffin dumbly re-signed. I don't know if that's the word, dumbly, but it's gonna be a word today. Dumbly or re-signed with Clippers, thinking he's gonna be a Clipper for life, and they traded him like 5 months later.
But part of what was fucked up about that, well, I shouldn't say fucked up because like this happens in sports all
Yeah.
the time, but that's what they pitched him.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he came in like, oh yeah, I'm going to be a Clipper for life. That's what they pitched him. They pitched him on like he was going to have a fucking statue outside. And, you know, be that as it may,
Yeah.
the Clippers would have offered him the most money. So it actually
Yeah.
wasn't a stupid move for him to sign with the Clippers for that 5-year contract. It just means like now you're like bound to this team and they can trade you wherever they want.
Yeah.
And that was kind of, to me, the way I looked at that trade. I don't think it was dumb that he re-signed because they were pitching it like, yo, this is going to be your team. Like, you're going to be the man. You're going to be a Clipper for life. And then they're like, oh, yeah, by the way, this contract sucks. We're rebuilding. So, peace.
I think what he didn't understand was they never planned to have him as the centerpiece of the team. That was the whole.
Right.
It was just we need this guy to trade him, and they tricked him.
So it's a ruse.
Yeah,
right.
that's what, and that's why I was like, did you really think that was gonna make you the franchise?
I mean, shit, when you invest $171 million, which they now like have moved on from that. So, I mean, I could understand why. I mean, like it's like you said, people can be easily manipulated. If I'm in a boardroom and you're showing me all these things,
Yeah.
I've been drafted by this team. I've been playing there since 2009. You know, it's hard to say like you're not going to be a Clipper for life, right?
Yeah.
Another 5 years. What he'll be in his like 10th year or something like that. So I
So
can
also
understand.
what the Clippers did, they got Jerry West and removed Doc Rivers as president.
Right.
Big move, and then got Lawrence Frank, and Lawrence Frank is sitting at all of Kawhi Leonard's games.
Interesting.
So he's the sub GM or whatever his official position. He goes wherever Kawhi Leonard goes and just sits in the crowd, like we watching. So now, and this has been planned years ago, and they kept Doc Rivers, a respected coach, championship coach, on the team. So that because they know Kevin Durant, the thing he likes the most is structure. And it's like, oh, Jerry West, okay, OG, Lawrence Frank, respected, Doc Rivers, OG, cap space, draft picks, okay. If LeBron wanted to, everyone knew LeBron was going to leave to LA because he had his businesses.
Right.
LA was a fact. It just didn't know which team. He wanted the Lakers, but if Magic didn't take over the Lakers, he was not going to be on the Lakers.
Which I think ultimately was a big mistake, but we can talk about that a little bit later.
Okay. So then now Clippers now has the space for both Durant and Kawhi. Kawhi is a guy that's hard to read for everybody.
I think it's him that's going to determine whether he's going to be
the whole
main,
free agency guy.
Yeah, he's the main piece that has to drop, and then everything else will kind of settle into place, in my opinion.
Nets saw this too, and Nets got out of the bad Billy King trade and took everybody's young play bad contracts with draft picks, and now they got a decent team. They got money. Now they're finally gonna get picks. The Knicks got later this. I don't know what Phil Jackson was doing, but once they got rid of Phil Jackson, they joined the party.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, yo, Kevin Durant main objective, he wants to start businesses that has nothing to do with basketball and entertainment,
which he's already starting now.
Yeah,
which was part of the reason why he went to Golden State too, is to be in the Silicon Valley.
So now the 4 teams, Nets, Knicks, Golden State, and Clippers, are trying to convince Durant this is a good basketball thing, and you can start your tech company here. Where Knicks are saying, we got billionaires in the crowd every day, B. Like, come chill with us. We got a good team, a good coach. We got all black management, first time, this, that. The Golden State are moving to a new arena in San Francisco, and they need Durant for at least 1 more year.
You think so?
Yes, because that arena is very expensive, and they need having Durant 1 more year pays a lot of bills.
Okay.
So they're going to try to get Durant longer, but if they be like, Durant, if you don't like any of your options, sign what LeBron did. Sign a 2-year contract with a 1-year opt-out.
Right, which he did.
That'll be their plan B. That'll be their plan B. Clippers are trying to get Kawhi, because if they get Kawhi, Durant's going there.
You think so?
That is Durant. The only thing I do not know about Durant from reading him, I do not know if Kawhi signs in Toronto, if Durant will have the balls to be like, I'm leaving Golden State, which is perfect for me, and signing with either the Clippers, the Knicks, or the Nets by himself. No Kyrie, no Kawhi. Let's say Kyrie resigns in Boston.
You think he is? I feel like the tea leaves look like he's leaving. It feels like he's leaving.
If Boston makes the NBA Finals, I think he's resigning. If they get embarrassed, whether it's the Eastern Conference Finals or second round, he's out.
Well, one of those teams have to lose, though. Yeah. One of those 4 teams have to lose in the semifinals.
That's going to be a tough one.
Either the Bucks, the Sixers, the Celtics, and the Raptors. One of those 2 teams are not going to make it to the conference finals. So I'm kind of curious I'm interested in knowing or getting your opinion on who's leaving. I feel like Kyrie. If I'm the Boston Celtics, if I don't have to have because he's going to sign a max contract.
Yeah, with whoever.
But if I could sign, Terry Rozier to a cheaper deal.
Nah, Terry Rozier is their backup. If they get Kyrie, they're going all in on Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis will be on the team for 1 year if they get Kyrie.
How you feel about those media reports, how his father was feeling about the Celtics?
With Anthony Davis?
Yeah.
I thought Anthony Davis played it wrong.
Yeah.
In the senses, I think once he signed to Rich Paul, everybody knew the fix he wanted to go to Lakers. He should have tried to do this last season or put the rumors out last season, where by the time he officially said something or told the team privately, it's like, bro, we got 2 weeks to the trade deadline. And for some reason, New Orleans thought he was really going to stay here for life. I don't know why. Once they signed Rich Paul, I'm like, yo, it's over.
Right.
Like the Game of Thrones has been moving, and New Orleans has not been paying attention to the last 4 years, where everybody know Kevin Durant's thinking about it. Anthony Davis, Paul George messed up things for LeBron.
Yeah, because him staying in Oklahoma.
But now
I feel like the NBA,
like
said, nah, you can't go to LA. You got to stay in OKC.
I think he didn't want the pressure of playing with LeBron. When I paid attention to Paul George in Indiana, I thought there was 1 year when they should have eliminated the Heat. But Paul George, even though he dropped 30, it wasn't like, yo, I'm better than you 30. Like Lance was the only one when they were up 3-2 that's like, yo, I'm not scared of LeBron. Paul George is like, I respect. Like once you give someone respect, it's in a finals or Eastern Conference is just not gonna.
I can agree with you. I just think like Paul George plays well. This season has been very different. Like, I didn't even think Paul George can like reach that level because like he's MVP candidate.
He definitely is.
Right? He's at least in the top 3. He's in my top 3 for MVP voting right now. If I had to vote today, like he would. It'd be hard for me to not put him in second right now.
Second, I have him third.
I have him between him and Harden, between second and third.
He does play with Mr. Triple Double though.
Yeah, but he's shooting horribly.
he's statistically having his worst offensive season ever. Or he's actually having one of the worst statistical offensive seasons for like an all-star guard ever.
You're talking
Westbrook.
shooting percentage.
Shooting. I'm talking about shooting, just shooting. I'm talking about 3-pointers, free throws, and field goals.
Yeah, but his effect, like...
And his efficiency is low because he turns the ball over a lot too, and he shoots. He'll don't get me wrong. I love Russell. I love the energy that he plays with. I love that he brings it every game.
Yeah.
Because defensively, he's been playing much better than he has in the past.
Yeah.
However, Russell Westbrook can also shoot you out of a game. Russell Westbrook is that guy that he'll score 40, but it took him 40 shots to do it, and I don't like that. I don't like his efficiency.
Honestly, I think this is one of his best seasons. I'm going to tell you why. The one thing, whether it's efficient, I know his scoring efficiency isn't the best, but
his efficiency in general, we're talking, is not the best at all.
I think this is one of the best point guards he's played in his life. For a guy that's a natural 2 guard, this season, it's not just the assist numbers. Like,
no. I mean, because the stats can be.
Like, he knew when, it's Paul George's day to take over this game. I don't think Westbrook 3-4 years ago when he had Durant would have been like, nah, it's my day every day.
Oh, I agree. I think he's grown as a person. So like, and you can tell, like, because that's why Paul George has been going off the way he has.
Yeah.
And in fact, they both went for like 40 points, like sometime like within the last week or two. I think Paul George had like 45. He had 43. What I'm saying is, I think Paul George overall is a good number 2. I didn't think he was going to be like, he's the best player on their team right now. Right now, today, what's today's date? February 26th. He's the best player on their team right now. February 26th.
I'd say he's the best scorer on their team.
He's the best player on their team right now.
Russell Westbrook gives you an attitude. You know how certain guys like you with is just like, yo.
Yeah, but attitude is not measurable. So we're talking about the measurables. There's people that bring it every game.
Yeah.
Here's someone I was watching last night because I was watching the Clippers-Mavs game. Montreal Harrell brings it every game. Mm-hmm. It's something that really can't be measured, but you can tell his impact on the game. So I feel like the same thing with Russell Westbrook. But right now, if you ask someone like who's the best player on OKC right now, it's Paul George. Yeah, okay, it doesn't mean that
I'll say he's performing the best this season. That's no doubt.
He's in the MVP conversations. He's also in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation.
That's amazing.
And I don't think Russell Westbrook is in either of those conversations. He's not in the MVP candidate conversation or Defensive Player. And that doesn't mean that he's bad. It's not me saying he's bad, but right now, if you ask someone to pick, they're probably going to pick Paul George right now, just for what he brings to the game. And I feel like he fits on a lot of teams seamlessly. Mm-hmm. Like I could see him playing on the Lakers. That would have been a fucking great addition to that team, just simply based on the fact that he would alleviate a lot of the pressure that LeBron has in terms of like having to score and carry a lot of the load and playing on defense, right? So I don't know if you could say the same thing about Westbrook, putting him in a different situation. Also, I don't think Westbrook is going to age well.
Okay.
I don't think his game will age well.
Like Dwayne Wade did. With all those hits, all those
not necessarily that, just because he's a poor shooter, and I think like he's not gonna age well. Like once his athleticism starts to go, I think it's gonna start to affect his game unless he improves it, start working with his footwork. So I hope he improves. That's what I'm saying. He needs an old man game. The reason why Kobe was still effective as he got older because he had great footwork, because he did become a volume shooter.
Yeah.
But he had the old man game where you can constant head fakes. Like he knew where to be.
There's not a lot of those technical guys. Like, you know what it remind me of? Like Kobe and them remind me like Chris Benoit or like Kurt Angle. Like it's just like you watch him play like anytime. Like sleeper holder. I'm like, yo, who's doing a sleeper holder? Like
right. Yeah, I mean,
like also, James Harden, Kobe, Carmelo. Like those are technical wing players. Mm-hmm. McGrady. These guys don't really exist that much anymore.
No, they don't. So tell me, Kyrie, you think he's signing to the Boston Celtics depending on
if Boston goes to the finals, he's definitely re-signing. If not, good chance he could go to the Knicks.
And then does that now bring KD to the Knicks?
Depends. If Kawhi goes to Clippers. I think Clippers are on top of the Knicks. This is how I think. Clippers is gonna be his first choice if everything works his way. Mm-hmm. Golden State will be his backup, and he could delay his decision another year or two. Mm-hmm. And Knicks will be his third choice. Mm-hmm. His last choice is Brooklyn Nets.
Okay. So you really think he's leaving? Damn, I can't imagine him winning a chip and then being like, yo, I'm not going to play for Golden State anymore.
It's two things about Kevin Durant that I observe about him. What people say about him, his legacy matters. That's number one.
It does.
When he retires, he wants everyone on these podcasts to be like, I'm better than LeBron. That's his main issue.
Right.
LeBron's big homie, but he's like, yo, I'm better than this guy, and y'all need to understand that.
Do you think
That's the mentality he should have.
Yeah.
Do you think there is a world where he ends his career and he is better than LeBron?
Yes, his plan is to get the third championship, so none of the sports commentators can say shit like, oh, you don't have 3 rings. Dwayne Wade got this, that. Like, no, I got 3 rings. I'm valid all time.
Right.
Now, if I win another ring in a town the Clippers win a championship, the Knicks win a championship,
Okay.
the Nets win a championship.
So you're saying that elevates the argument even more.
It's gonna be way better than the Cleveland.
You think so?
If the Knicks win a championship, I don't know if the city will exist the next day.
Yeah, we gotta burn the city down. I'm not gonna lie to you.
There is some truth to that. I mean, I think it's just part of the notoriety of the Knicks, and it's like how good they've been in certain. Actually, to tell you the truth, the Knicks haven't really been that good for most of their existence. If you really break it down, like even when people talk like, oh, the '90s Knicks, and I'm like, the '90s Knicks didn't win shit.
Oh, but they were a good team, though.
They had good teams, but they didn't win shit.
Oh yeah, because Jordan.
How many finals appearances? 2.
Yeah, that's a lot more than any with Jordan with the Bulls.
Like I said, if we're breaking down the Knicks' existence, like they were really only good like in the 70s, and I'm talking like those 2 years they won the chip, maybe like a year before, a year after.
They had some 90s years. Like, if we could beat the Bulls, we got this.
I mean, there were years that they should have won against Indiana, man. Like, what about fucking Patrick Ewing's finger roll?
Oh,
I mean, what the fuck was that? Charles Smith.
So,
oh my god.
So Knicks has a chance, but if I'm a Knicks fan, I wouldn't get gas. I'm just focus on the draft pick.
They shouldn't get gas at all because they've missed on a ton of free agents, as have the Lakers.
Yeah. So you know what I think was going to happen?
Tell me.
The Lakers are going to be forced to get maxed Kemba Walker.
They better not.
No one else plays.
That better not be our system. That better not be us. That better be. You know what's crazy? There's a world where Kemba Walker, Tobias Harris, will have max contracts,
and Jimmy Butler
will have a max contract, but we don't know where.
All these teams, because these 3-4 teams are fighting for 2 players, or technically 3 if you count Kyrie. I'm like, DeMarcus Cousins is gonna get paid. Mm-hmm. If Knicks got 2 max slots, Kevin Durant could play for 1 team.
Yeah, he only can.
Kawhi can only play for one team. And these other teams, like, yo, we got 2 max spots. If I'm DeMarcus Cousins, I'm like, where at? You didn't get him. I'm here. I want to come to the Knicks.
Right.
Sign me. $30 million a year. Kemba Walker is going to get paid too.
What about Klay Thompson? What do you think he does?
If they think they could keep Durant, they're going to give him close to a max.
Okay.
If Durant goes, they're going to sort of force to give him a max.
So what's Golden State's play?
Durant's first. No one's moving until Durant or Kawhi moves. So Kawhi's technically not a free agent, or he get the chance to resign. Mm-hmm. So everyone's gonna wait to see if Kawhi resigns.
You think he's staying with the Raptors? He's very.
It's tough because the Clippers.
There's a word for him, but I just can't think of what it is.
I don't know.
But he's just very you just don't know what's going on.
Will the Clippers
I hate mysterious, but
will the Clippers do all these things for 3 years? Because they know, everything the Clippers doing is for Kawhi. Mm-hmm. So it's just they weren't going after LeBron.
No,
it was just yo, Kawhi.
Right.
So it's just you mortgage your. I hope they have some inside information to be yo, this is going on, and people don't understand a small thing like Kawhi's Kawhi's one of Kawhi's the Knicks hired Kawhi's brother or his cousin to be help out on the team. This is some real shit. People will really want these guys.
So this is tampering.
So and Lakers signed Michael Beasley, knowing that's Durant's best friend.
And now he's in China.
Now he's in China, but they're Michael Beasley probably got no pull. So it's just like, I release him.
Yep.
Like all these small, like there's people carrying bags that's getting paid maybe $60,000-$70 just because they're friends with Durant and Kawhi.
Oh, that happens all the time, especially like in the NCAA and especially in the NBA too. Yeah.
Or like J.R. Smith's younger brother, Craig Smith.
Jokes.
I was just like, what is it? Come on, guys.
Giannis's younger brother being signed, like it's a lot of people that are like making moves. So, where are the Sixers in all of this?
The Sixers got a tough one. Their team is not as good as Toronto, Boston, or Toronto, Boston. I'm missing
Bucks.
Bucks, yeah.
So you think they're the fourth best
They're the
team?
fourth best, but they have, if with the game on the line, they got a decent 5 with just five minutes left.
They have the best starting 5 in.
They got a starting 5, a flexible starting 5 to compete with anyone.
I think they have like maybe top 3 starting 5 in the NBA right now.
But now,
purely based off talent, because you have Joel Embiid,
okay,
you have Ben Simmons, you have Tobias Harris, you have JJ Redick, and you have Jimmy Butler starting on your team.
On paper, that sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, so far it's been pretty good.
Yeah.
So
they got a puncher's chance in the East if they could keep the game close with 5 minutes left.
I disagree. I feel like they got to like really be ahead, because I feel like
I don't think the bench is that good.
I don't think their bench is that good. I think last year they were ahead of schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen too many games where like, who's the main guy on their team that's going to score? That was a problem last year, because I saw too many games with Joel Embiid. Like, he's like, you can tell he's tired.
Yeah.
And so this is what Joel Embiid does when he's tired. He like dribbles off his foot out of bounds. And Ben Simmons is not shooting, which we don't have to talk about that. I mean, it is what it is at this point. Like, though I hate it because like he's a professional basketball player and he should be taking jump shots, or at a minimum should be like at the gym taking jump shots.
Yeah.
He is a professional basketball player. Though he does affect the game without having to shoot a jump shot, which I think is like fucking nuts to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, if the game's on the line, I don't think Philly can win.
I agree. I think they're going all in, but I was like,
They have to. Because some cities, people don't realize, like some cities, like
I don't think
they may never win a championship, and they're also not like a free agent like hotspot.
Yeah.
So they have to be relevant to keep like fans in the seats. Look at a team like the Memphis Grizzlies,
yeah,
who have like made the playoffs consistently until like recently, right?
Yeah.
Name me free agents that want to go to Memphis.
Nobody.
None of them, unless they get some player on a trade or something like that. Like, players aren't going to Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with like the Utah Jazz. They've been in the playoffs consistently for years upon years upon years.
Yeah, nobody don't want to live in.
But nobody wants to go to Utah. Nah. Nobody on the free agent is going to go, you know what? I want to put Utah as one of my my list. Like, there's not a lot of stars like that. That's why Milwaukee, they lucked out with getting Giannis. They lucked the fuck out because like he wants to be in Milwaukee,
yeah,
and then also signed that was a pretty friendly deal, that friendly extension that he signed after his rookie season,
and they drafted well after him too.
Oh, absolutely. With Chris Middleton, they had
Malcolm Brogdon,
yeah,
like I think Philly cheated their process because they still had a lot of picks with the Sam Hinkie moves.
They missed a lot of picks though.
Oh, but they still had more picks, which they traded in the Tobias Harris trade. And
they traded the Miami pick, which was
where it's just like you could have kept adding one good young player each year to Simmons and Embiid.
Yeah, the way I feel about drafts always, it's like you have like the top like 3 prospects and then everybody else.
Well, but you know what happened?
That's generally what drafts are. For the most, honestly, it's really like there's like really like 2 like outstanding players, and then there's everyone else. There are certain drafts like the 2003 draft where there was more talent, but really when you break it down, it was what? So you had LeBron, Wade, Bosh, Melo, right? Those drafts don't happen often. Like that. What do you like this upcoming draft right now? To me, it's like Zion, RJ Barrett,
Murray. From
I'm talking about Morant.
Yeah, from Murray
State.
Yeah.
And then
there's a guy,
Cam Reddish. Man, you don't get what I'm saying? It's like top 3 and then everyone else.
You know what's tough about the draft? You have to actually do your homework if there's no superstars.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So this draft has a lot of good players. There's a lot of good 2 guards. Mm-hmm. Now, choosing between 8 2 guards is like you have to really do your homework. Just like the last one had 8 power forwards. Like, I love that the Knicks got Kevin Knox. So I was like, yo, this guy can be something deadly when he learns how to play and get stronger.
I think Phoenix fucked up by not drafting Luka Doncic.
Who did Phoenix draft?
Aiton.
Perfect. He's a really good player.
Yeah, but no.
Nah, he's amazing.
Yeah,
player.
but he's not Luka Doncic.
He's playing really good this
It's not
season.
Luka.
Luka gives you the sizzle if you need sizzle, but they got Devin Booker.
Luka is a generational talent. He's gonna be the
really
best.
good.
He's gonna be the best player to come out of Europe ever, probably. That's the way it's looking right now. That's how it's looking.
Dirk is really.
I'm not saying. Dirk has 20 years in the game as a chip. Not taking nothing away from him, but like I've seen like Luka tape like from before, and on this pod, like we're Luka friendly.
Yeah,
I think Ed can attest to that for sure.
That's true.
Like we did our homework. I as a matter of fact, I had him going first because his old coach is the current coach of the Phoenix Suns. So I was like, oh, this is foregone.
now he's
conclusion.
European. You can't have him go first.
I was shocked that he didn't go first. I was shocked that he didn't go second. The Kings got lucky with Marvin Bagley because Marvin Bagley actually has been improving and is playing very well. And even though I still think that they whiffed on it, it could have been. Hear me out. Okay. It could have been way worse than what it is.
Okay.
If Marvin Bagley isn't who Marvin Bagley is right now, they whiffed on the pick. I still think they whiffed. It's almost like you got a really good player. You got a player that's like fringe all-star. Luka Doncic is going to be an all-star for the next 10, 12, 15 years, however long he plays.
I think the last draft that passed was going to be one of those like 03 drafts. Like you're going to look back like, damn, there's so many good players. Or like the 09 draft. It's just like, wow.
Or the 11 draft. The draft with Kawhi was like low-key good too.
So like,
he got drafted in 14?
Nah, maybe lower than that.
13?
I gotta check that, but
I think he got drafted in 14. I think he might have been in Giannis's draft actually, which is kind of crazy to think because Giannis was picked in 14th.
Like, I actually the drafting has been. I like the one and done rule. I don't know if people like it.
Hate it.
I don't like the NCAA, but I like the rule.
Why do you like it?
Because you get to see, high school to the NBA it's like 10 leagues away from each other. Okay. Like. Jumping from this is what I think. No point guard should be allowed to go from the high school to the NBA.
Why not?
The point guard position is more of a crap. You can't just use athleticism on the point guard position.
If I'm a point guard, I can't do that.
You can.
Well, I'm talking about any other position. They just like, yo, if you're a point guard, you got to go to college.
Well, I think the argument is like, if you're 7 foot tall, like you can't teach someone height. You know what I mean? So it's like, all right, if we got this 7 footer that can like shoot and dunk.
Like the first,
you're more than likely going to be like a top 5 pick, i.e., Jonathan Bender. No one knows who he is. Exactly.
Like what you call it. If you're 7 foot tall and you don't know how to play, or you're not good, or you're not big enough yet, they're gonna be like, just run and jump, and jump. Yeah. As a point guard, we can't hide you. Like you have to have the ball in your hand. If you don't know what you're doing, everyone will see you and expose you. The ball is in your hand. You can't hide in the corner. You need to know what you're doing. You need to know the plays. And then don't forget, you're messing with people's money. If you're a rookie, an 18-year-old, and I'm 24 and I'm on my contract here, you better need the fuck you doing. I'm trying to get my house, my mortgage paid, generational wealth on my next contract. Mm-hmm. And you have the ball in your hand every single possession. Where that's why when I looked at Sebastian Telfair, one of the most talented guys, I still thought when he was in the NBA, he was like more talented than people that he was playing, but he just really didn't know what to do. And no coach, because coaches lose their job like that. Yeah. They're not going to give an 18-year-old their security.
Right.
So
I agree.
You need the ball in your hand to be better as a point guard. But if you're 18 and you don't know the technical aspects of the position, a coach that gets fired anytime in the middle of the season is the business of the game. If the coach was safe, he'd have been like, "Oh, go fuck it up. Go fuck it up."
So like a Greg Popovich, he would have enough cachet. Like, all right, well, he's probably not going to start.
He's not going to. He's not going to play you anyway if you don't know the technical aspects of it.
That's a fact.
But it's just like other coaches, like coaching is tough. It's just like, this is what I only do in life. If I cannot coach, I got no other skills.
More or less.
Like,
More or less.
these coaches are not teachers. They used to be teachers, at least have like a master's in education.
Yeah.
Like, they don't do that anymore.
More or less. Yeah, more or less. I don't disagree with that.
So it's like,
I'm just looking at guards that have been drafted out
no,
of
I'm
high
talking
school.
point. I'm talking point guards, not two guards. Two guards, you could 6-man them. You could move around. Point guard,
You're talking about point guard, like main ball handler.
yeah, main ball handler. I do not think should come. Is to jump from high school, and then most of the high school teams, even if your team is all state, your regular season you're playing a lot of scrubs that are not even in your weight class.
True.
Like, you're only really seeing tough competition in the playoffs, in the state competition.
Right.
Where
Or
you-
even on the AAU circuit is really where you're seeing most of the talent now.
Yeah.
Because depending on what state you're in,
Yeah.
you may not be in a good basketball state.
Unless you go to one of those prep schools or
Right.
academies.
Right.
And it's just like you're dominating those guys at point guard like Sebastian did in Brooklyn. Like, the PSAL, like, no disrespect to anybody. Like, I played in New York City. Like, most of the guys are not no NBA talent. Like,
Now, I think then I also feel like players like transplant and move so much. Like, look at someone like Cole Anthony, who's like I think number 3 or 2 in the top 100 for his class.
yeah.
Is from New York, went to Malloy, but now plays at what's that fucking school that Carmelo Anthony went to?
Oh, Syracuse.
No, he doesn't
Oak
play.
Hill.
Oak Hill Academy, exactly.
Okay.
Right? So like a lot of these players like end up moving because like New York basketball isn't what it was.
Yeah.
Then like we're around the same age.
Yeah.
So I remember like PSAL, like a lot of point guard. We were known for point guards in New York City. That
Yeah.
was like the thing.
Okay,
So-
there's a difference from this point guard might get a D1, D2 scholarship to the rare Sebastian Telfair
Agreed.
that's like, top 10 pick. Like,
Agreed.
So it's just
I'm
like-
not disputing that.
if
for
you
sure.
have a Sebastian Telfair or someone that good, the person that he's playing that might be, drafted by UConn.
He got drafted 13th in that draft. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that might be drafted by UConn. The guy that goes to Sheepshead that might be drafted by UConn and is gonna hit the bench heavy and play in his third year is not on the same level, even though they're the same age.
Agreed.
And then from you to jump to that to Chauncey Billups,
Agreed.
like, is not the same thing. That's
Yeah,
why.
I
And
agree.
then we have to give you the ball for what it was, a 48-minute game. You're gonna play 32 minutes if we start you.
Yeah, more or less.
That's not. You get eaten up alive.
So you're saying point guards, that's the hardest position to kind of jump
To
into
play,
that.
I don't think point guard should jump into the NBA. Everything else, if you're good enough, you got the size, go.
Okay. But I still think the one and done rule should be abolished. And I feel like you should. Here's my problem, right? Mostly my problem with the run and done rule. I agree with a lot of what you said in terms of like being able to evaluate talent.
Yeah.
Being able to play in, I guess, more high pressure situation games. So like, the conference championships, the March Madness, the rivalry games, et cetera, right? Even with like a Zion Williamson, right?
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go back on what I was saying before, just a little bit, because I was kind of like, Zion should have went directly from high school to the league, but I could understand why he went to Duke, just because of it raises his profile.
Oh yeah.
In terms of like money to be earned later, and when I say money to be earned later, not necessarily NBA contract. I'm talking about like
Shoe contract.
right, the endorsement. Because like if you play for a school like Duke and you got like all those kids going crazy and he was already a YouTube sensation,
Yeah.
right, from the jump. So House of Highlights, all that, So the game is a little bit different now. It's not like what it was like not even like 5 years ago. Now it's like you could drop your tape and people know you. Drake was rocking the Spartanburg jersey, on tour, which is like nuts to think, but that's how large his profile was. But I think even if he would have came out, I don't know if he would have went first. I think he might have went like, honestly, I think he would have went like, he would have been lottery. I think he would have went like maybe
7th.
fifth. Right. Like around there. I don't think he would have went first.
Yeah.
Because you saw him and you knew he was a freakish athlete, but you didn't see him playing against the competition that's in the NCAA.
Yeah.
So I could see why it benefited him. However, then you have the argument with like a Ben Simmons, where Ben Simmons, I don't know if anyone watched the
Oh
documentary.
yeah, I've definitely seen it.
Where literally he says, I did not benefit at all from being in college. I should be in the NBA playing.
Yes, because the other thing, Ben Simmons is not American. That's another.
He's
that's
from Australia. Right.
That's a big thing as well. Of
course.
I'm not sure why he came to the States to play in college.
To raise his profile, essentially.
Yeah.
I don't think people were talking about him as much.
Okay, the benefit of college basketball is only to get more eyes on you.
Yeah, exactly.
I personally don't think foreign stars, no matter what country you're from, what skin color you are, need that. If you're Luke Doncic, if you're Dirk, if you're whatnot, if you're nice over there, the scouts will move you up.
Yeah, but I don't know how nice he was while he was in Australia, and I think part of it was the level of competition wasn't there. So that's why they were like, you got to go to the States. And hoop. I think that was part of it. But he almost was like, I'm only working out to try to get to the league. I shouldn't even be playing.
Yeah, and we saw it and when you watch those games, there was sometimes like, this is dumb. And it's just like, I wouldn't go to the NCAA if you're not going to go ham.
That's true. And he played for LSU. You know what I mean? Like, that team wasn't good. And potentially, like, there were people saying, like, oh, should we draft him #1? Which was, like, fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But, and alongside him, I think in his draft class was Brendan Ingram, who played at Duke. And again, benefited from having that raised profile, those eyes on him, being able to be drafted.
But it's a risk. It's definitely a risk, and it depends what's more important to you. If money's more important to you, there are options. To now that they have the G League, they revamped the G League.
Yeah, where they're paying players more. You could do the Brendan Jennings route and go overseas for a year.
That's not a great idea.
I also agree with you because depending on what league you play in, it may not be worth it.
The coaches over there, if they know you're one and done, they're not going to play. They're not going to play with you. If they was like, "Oh, you're one of ours that we groomed since you were 16," you're gonna get that rock. They're like, "Yo, we're gonna show the NBA we could build somebody like Luka Doncic." Right. But if they know,
and the coaches over there, they desire more control, right?
Oh yeah, they have more control.
Yeah, absolutely.
So and they play team basketball. That's why I didn't like the Frank Ntilikina draft. I'm like, he's a good player, basketball player, but Knicks need people that put the ball in the basket. Like basketball sometimes is not that complex. Who could put the ball in the basket the most?
Right. That was funny for him because I remember during the draft they were like, he's a high bust power prospect. I was like, why did you draft him then? I was amused by that. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, high risk, high reward. But yeah, no, that was a terrible pick. I mean, especially when you had Dennis Smith Jr. there.
I think there was a lot of politics in that.
That was Phil's pick, right?
Yeah, because Dennis Smith Jr. is represented by Clutch Sports.
Oh, okay.
And then LeBron and Thing is not friends, and
the
also,
posse,
and also a lot of the older white coaches, like foreign-born black players, than the American-born black players. Like y'all think y'all the shit now. All like Charles Barkley be like, you don't know what we had to do in the '80s. It's like, we thank you for your service, but it's like, yo, let's get
a new day.
Yo, let the 16-year-olds get jiggy in the AAU tournaments.
Right. Yeah. And it's funny because people complain about like AAU basketball. I think like Kobe said something about it too. Like
you talk about in terms of them being too friendly and shit like that.
Not being too not that per se. That doesn't really bother me.
Or is it
the
fundamentals?
Yeah, it's like fundamentally and just like what the emphasis is. Because when you look at basketball, right, there's only 60 picks. And really, when you really think about it, it's like if you don't get drafted in the first round, honestly, if you don't get drafted in the lottery, like the money is very different. Yeah. Like the first pick is making a lot more money than the 30th pick, is making way more money than a second round pick because they're not guaranteed. They can be cut, waived, all that, no problem. I think the way we groom players, we don't really groom them for school. We're literally grooming them to play a sport. Yeah. And I think that's where it fucks up because everyone's not going to make it. And even though there is a ton of opportunities to play overseas, I know a lot of players that play professionally overseas, and that's dope. And that's still, you can still earn a living playing basketball. But the goal is to get to the NBA. Yeah. And I feel like we do a lot of disservice when you have like kids that are traveling, don't really have like a real school schedule. And then we're calling it like amateurs. And that's part of the problem that I have, mostly with the NCAA. It's not necessarily the one and done rule. It's the idea that we're keeping the sport pure, and that's why we don't have money in it for the players. But like, you can't tell me like this is an amateur sport. Like, have you fucking seen where Syracuse plays? Have you seen like Duke Stadium is relatively small. They only hold like under 10,000 people.
Speaking about that, didn't you say how much are the tickets for the Zion games?
The cheapest ticket there was $3,000. I mean, of course that's on resale, but still, like, give me a break. Like, you're telling me this kid, like, if I paid his phone bill, he would get an NCAA violation.
That is true.
Like,
I think they need to adjust the rules about
so
that.
that's my
ridiculous.
problem. Like, at a minimum, like, these players should be able to earn, whether it's through shared revenue, whether it's like, all right, I'm gonna sign these autographs and get a couple bucks off. I'm gonna be able to get some money off these jersey sales, like something. Like, that's my main issue. I understand like the main sports, like Duke's basketball team like funds a lot of the other sports that are in there, and I'm not saying that shouldn't be I'm not saying that should end. But don't tell me like Zion Williamson shouldn't be getting some sort of a check for the profile that he has.
Like, I agree with you completely, but it's honestly, it's on two people. It's on the parents first.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, no matter how nice the kids are, they're kids at the end of the day. Like, imagine yourself at 17 or whatnot. Like,
right, of course.
There's things like that I comprehend now financially, business-wise, that I wouldn't understand at 19,
But
at 18.
I think these kids are a lot different because they have already been started since like 13, 14, 15. Like, they already know. Like, there's kids that you already know.
Yeah.
Granted, some of them may have like the benefit of having a player, like a father that was in the NBA. Like, I use Cole Anthony again as an example because his dad is Greg Anthony, so obviously he already knows the ins and outs, right? But like, Zion's parents knew from at least when he was like sophomore, junior, like, yo, this kid is the goods. Like, he's about to blow up like we've never seen before. We already know he's going to be a generational talent. So it's not like the kids now. I don't think kids now that are hooping have the same mindset as us, because if we were in a field where like we knew we were going to be professionals and that's what we were gearing towards, yo, these kids are already, they're like media trained already. Look at LeBron when he was doing them interviews in the 9th grade.
Yeah.
You know, like, he was ready. Yeah. He was ready, you know, like, and you knew it already.
Okay, so
not for everyone. I know that's like an exception to the rules.
Okay, so with your conversation, because I always tell people we always talk about black excellence, we need to talk about black mediocrity, right? Very important.
Of course.
So you are as powerful as how far the average slack in your group can go.
True.
If you're moving with a group of people.
True.
So in those examples with the NCAA, the Zions, the LeBrons, et cetera, Ben Simmons, we need to talk about the compensation for the not the Fredettes, like the guy that the Hurleys, that played in Duke with Christian Laettner.
Bobby Hurley,
like,
he got drafted.
Yeah, but even
he was good.
Yeah,
he had
really to play.
Good.
He had to play 3-4 years just to have a chance of being drafted.
But the game is different then, because everyone was playing 3 or 4 years then. Like, even Grant Hill played 3 years in college.
Okay, I'll give then Malcolm Brogdon, someone that played for 4 years, right?
Okay, which is rare, but yeah, I get it.
So now let's talk about the compensation for those guys, because to be honest, if I'm a child or a parent, the Zions are going to be Gucci whatever. Like, Zion, Kevin Durant, they're going to be good. Like, you could just see at 12, he's going to win a finals MVP.
Yeah.
The other players that look, I got to bust my ass just to make this team. Now, we got to talk about them being compensated, because the conversation always goes around the Zions and Kevin Durant.
That's true. So
I honestly think in terms of, I don't know if high school's still the same, the top athletes or just athletes in general, they're watching. If you're dominating in your conference in your city, people are going to check your background. It's almost like a politics. Yeah, other coaches and rival teams going to see where your parents from. Where'd you get that car? So to see if where your grades are coming from. So it's just like, can those players make money in high school off their name? And I'm not sure if they can.
No, they can't.
So if I'm 15 and I never tasted $5 off my likeness, why would I do it that now that I'm 18 and I have no business experience? Like, you already sold me on the play defense, do suicides, come to practice early. I've been doing it my whole life.
Right.
So now that I'm 18 and I'm in a bigger market, it's just like, I'd have no personal experience of, yo, I sold a jersey. I was popping in my high school and I made money off my jersey.
Okay.
Because that's against the rules too.
Right, of course. So but what's the argument that you're making? It's
You need to, instead of challenging the NCAA, challenge it on the high school level.
okay. I agree. I agree with
now,
that too.
if you made $100 in high school off your brand, if you go to college, you're looking to make way more.
Agreed. I get what you're saying. Yeah, and you got to consider too, like a lot of these camps are sponsored by the Nikes and the Adidases of the world, who are essentially scouting for their next like top, their next Jordan and LeBron and Kobe. Like, right? This is what they're doing essentially with these camps, right? They're also like pitching it to these colleges, who are also, guess what, sponsored by these same brands, right? So I get what you're saying, and I agree with that too. Like at some point, like there has to be some sort of system where like these players are able to earn money for playing basketball. Like there are high school arenas that are getting filled up because of the players that are put out there. Look at someone like
the Ball family.
Yeah, I mean.
LeVar Ball is amazing.
And he's a game changer.
Amazing.
He's a game changer.
Like,
a lot of people don't like him because of what he says. And I get why. I understand it.
That's not why they don't like him.
Yeah, but also
that's not why they don't like
they
him.
don't like what about him. Then they invite him to the shows.
No. They don't like him because of what he says and also because of who he is, right?
Okay.
Loud, arrogant, black.
That's
guy.
a part of it. But the thing is, LeVar Ball is not a loser.
Right. He's also
most people are losers.
Right.
Like I've been a loser before. I'm trying to work out of it. Like sometimes I got to critique myself. Where what you call it, LeVar Ball is like, yo, I'm not letting you make money off me. You can make money with me.
Right.
But if you don't, I'm not gonna curse you or not. I'm gonna make this money's coming.
Yeah. He's challenging the establishment, which is part of why they don't like him, especially with the sneaker.
Yeah.
Right. That was something that like while like people clowned him for it. It was to me, it was ingenious to like, yo, I'm gonna have these other brands competing with me.
Yeah,
I'm gonna let Lonzo wear the Nikes and all that shit. Like, I don't care about that because he got his own shoe.
Yeah, so like the last year I've been like learning about business and whatnot. I'm gonna start a couple of my own businesses, online businesses. So basically, we're taught to work for something and we get paid, but we don't get the ownership.
Right.
So no matter how hard you work, it's just like if you don't own it, it's like, damn, I got to put more time in. But if you own a piece of anything, it's just like good or bad. It's just like you could sit back and count your money. So a lot of people that are making money, hundreds of $1,000s on Instagram, what they're doing is instead of like, let's say those sandals that you're wearing, like, okay, those are Nike sandals. I'm going to come out with my own sandals. And all I got to do, honestly, is what you call it, make a web store, which anyone could do. We make a website, anybody could do, logo, anybody can do. All you got to do is put money into advertising.
Agreed.
Because like I tell people, there's no difference from Coca-Cola to RNC Cola. It's the same shit.
It don't taste the same.
It's the same shit. If RNC Cola made commercials in the Super Bowl, that would be in all parties. If they started making commercials,
I agree,
and billboards on
because
the
of
trains.
the power of marketability. I get it, and maybe because I see Coca-Cola more, than therefore it tastes better.
Yeah,
I think it's
the same thing.
I think it legit tastes better though.
It's the same thing with music artists, right?
I'm not gonna lie though, I legit think it tastes better.
What?
It's almost like Sprite and like lemon lime soda. You can taste the difference.
It's not bad aftertaste, man.
But I get what you're saying. No, I totally agree with what you're saying. There isn't much separating the two outside of like visibility and people being able to recognize the brand. So I agree with that.
So it's just the mindset. So when LeVar and Lonzo went up to Nike, he's like, yo, let's come with our own shoe. Like Lonzo's 19, people design shit. Like black people, we design shit.
Yeah.
He's like, Lonzo has sneaker ideas. Let's co-own this, that. Let's talk about it. He was like, nah, we'll give you $5 million. Wear the shoe that we make. And he's like, no. And then people's like, oh, you're dumb. And when they came out with their own shoe, the whole point is not if they make the $5 million. It's the point of whatever they sell, it goes to them first, and they have to redistribute who they owe.
Exactly.
And that's always more empowering. Where if you have your own thing, there's no scandal I can get to and my endorsements get done.
Right.
Like if Lonzo gets in it, or when D'Angelo got arrested in China, it's not, his father's not gonna be like, oh, you're arrested, you lost your shoe deal. You're my son. Your shoe deal's here for life.
Right.
Like you could be R. Kelly. Like we giving you the shoe deal. It was on the timeline, so that was the only criminal I can think of. Guys.
So what other businesses are you trying to
Everyone
start?
was like, ooh.
What happened?
So what other businesses are you trying to start? If you can talk about it.
Oh yeah. So right now, I do events, marketing, whatnot. So what I've seen is products. So there's two ways. You either create the product yourself and sell it online, or you do drop shipping. So drop shipping, for example, if anyone listening doesn't know what drop shipping is, you get a product from a wholesale, just like Poland Spring, perfect. And when I buy that at Costco's, I'm gonna buy the pack for $8, and then sell the 24 pack that I bought for $8 for each bottle for $1 each. So I'm gonna make a $16 profit off that. Right. So all you do is pick a product at wholesale and then create a website or whatnot and just sell the product at an up price than you bought it.
So you're telling us that you're about to be dropping your own water?
Nah, right now I don't know if I should say this publicly. What I think.
Say publicly.
I'm thinking about selling book bags. Like I got a pretty bitch book bag, like stylish. Like
That's a pretty bitch book bag.
I said a pretty bitch book bag. Yeah,
that's the brand name.
Oh no, it wasn't. It might have
you can fucking you sold me. I'm trying to get this pretty bitch right now.
Pretty bitch book bag. So it's just one of the what I love about Twitter. I could just meet strangers online and just hear their thoughts. Whatnot. So this one guy, he talked about how he started a business on this, that, and a lot of people are making money in the industry. And I'm just trying to piece of it. Everyone wants to be like the red carpet, this, that. Nah, I'm not with all the fame and glamour. I just want a piece of something and power.
Right.
Power is very important. Like the shit that y'all are doing now, this is so dope. You didn't ask for nobody permission. Y'all got your own shit. You put up your own. On SoundCloud, I'll be listening to episodes. It's like, did you ask for? Sir, we have a great idea that we need to pitch.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. And I think the freedom of it is like, again, we're not bounded by the powers that be at an ESPN or a Fox Sports or
yeah.
And it's also not to say like we won't partner up with them.
Yeah.
At the same time, we can go on this pod and talk about whatever we want.
You know, 6-hour podcast if we felt like it.
Not
saying we're gonna do it.
Not even necessarily has to be 6 hour. I'm more concerned with we can talk about whatever content. We can create our own content.
Yeah.
That's not bounded by like these rules. Like, oh yeah, you could talk about the NFL, but you could only say this. You can't be too critical. You can't say like we're not bounded by those rules. So I agree with you in terms of like power, like being able to own your own and being able to curate it and being able to create it and have the ownership is extremely important.
The only thing we're all fighting is obscurity. So we all could
True.
We could all create this, shoes, this, that. The whole point is we got to put in work to get everyone to know about it.
Absolutely. So how do you feel about the influencer culture that's kind of being pushed now? So
I like it. Okay, marketing wise or marketplace wise, let me say that. I like it because it's real life. Like there's certain people, if they do, like, let's say when I see you always wear glasses. Right. If you told me, yo, like, I don't wear glasses, but like, yo, these glasses, I'm like, yo, Dave's a cool person. If he's talking about these glasses, I'm going to suggest them.
Right.
And that's how life works. And we see it on a grand scale with celebrities.
Like Kylie Jenner.
Oh, yes, perfect.
Like if Kylie Jenner posted this podcast, we would have like 100,000 followers.
If Rihanna retweeted this or took a selfie with y'all, you go, or Jay-Z takes a picture with you, not a forced picture, but like, nah, come here. We're going to take a picture. Everyone would start hitting you up.
All right, absolutely.
So you could do the same thing on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. It's just like you're looking at all these women anyway.
Do you feel like it's like a skip pass though?
I'm not sure what the phrase skip pass means.
Just like a skip, like, like we gain notoriety because oftentimes a lot of these influencers are paid.
Oh, yeah.
So how do you feel about that? I mean, not that people shouldn't get paid for their brand, right? Because like we use Kylie Jenner as an example, right? I don't want to use Rihanna because she's black.
I know, I love Rihanna.
So we're going to use Rihanna, right? Rihanna has a brand, and in order for her to promote a product, you therefore have to pay her.
Yeah.
So then doesn't that mean that those that have the money to pay these influencers then can dictate what people are buying and what people are wearing and what they see?
Yes.
So what I'm questioning is I guess how organic it is. That's really what I'm.
Okay, some of it is not organic, and I like that. Okay, I have 5 things. My mind's all over.
Right, it's all good.
All right, so some of it's not organic, but I do like that they put ad on it, like, yo, this is an ad.
Right.
I also like if it's a commercial that you make, cool. If you're giving a product review, I would like to know if they
paid you.
But usually I'm gonna follow you to know your authenticity.
Right.
But now you also have to remember we're all becoming television stations. That's what Instagram is. Our own personal Davey World Peace. That's a television station on
Right.
IGU on the train, this,
Right.
that. You are a TV. You choose your programming to your following.
Right.
So that's basically what it is. So if you're seeing, especially most of the women or in these small businesses, is like that girl that's showing you how to do a curl pattern or whatnot. She's a TV station. She's a commercial. Might be a commercial. Some people
Right.
might be programming, like like authentic programming. Some people might be commercials,
Right.
and they're cool with that.
Right.
But we now that our society is going into not just major media broadcasting, we have to identify who are the commercial people that are like, hey, they paid me for this. I'm gonna give this a try. It's on brand with what I sell or what I do.
Right.
And then there's certain people like, yo, if they're using it, it's like they paid or not, they really do use that product.
Right.
So it's up to us as audience to judge and to know who we're following.
How do you decipher that?
Usually what you got to do is follow them or go back to before they got the first check and see what content people have before the first.
Well, most people are getting rid of that content. Like, people are like, content right now is being so curated. It's like, as you could go as far back and it's like, oh shit, it's like they've been using this since day one, but really it's not.
Yeah.
So I always question kind of like, so I had a brand. I did clothing for some time. And part of what I wanted was it to grow like organically.
Yeah.
You know, but obviously I was a step behind the game because I should have been like placing it in more influencers' hand. It wasn't
that it's organic as well.
To a point.
Yeah, because a lot of things when we do business is sort of ego. Like, I want it to naturally, like,
Yeah, of course.
But like you
But
paying
Dave-
it to a real person is,
Yeah, but Dave, when your clothing got to Red Cafe, that was pretty organic.
Yeah, it was. I mean, even that, and even it getting into vibe and things like that. So yeah, so I mean, there was a level of it that was organic, but of course, ego is part of it.
Yeah.
which is like something that you also have to eliminate from a lot of the work that you do.
because you're paying, whether you're paying money, you're either paying time to let everybody know, you're paying energy, like, yo, this is my shirt, this is my sweater, this, that. So you're paying, you're always going to be, it's just like pussy. You're going to be paying in some form. It's just like, what are you
If a woman was sitting here, she would disagree with you.
As a man, women can't speak for, like, if I
true.
can't speak as a man, I pay in some form. Whether it's me like responding to your good morning text when I want to be asleep or whatever, or whatnot.
That's true. There is a level of truth to that. I've said that in the past before. I mean, whether it's you're spending money on the actual money, physical money, or
putting
spending
money
time.
in your gas in your car.
There's a lot of things that are in there. So yeah, I agree with that. And we cater to men too on this.
So you
podcast.
just got to
Yeah.
choose what are you comfortable paying,
That's true.
or what form of method that you like to give and receive.
Okay. So how do you feel about prostitution? I'm just kidding.
Oh, damn! I was like, well,
No, I'm not going to say.
So do you feel like some of these influencers should become responsible when things like end up bad?
Like the
'Cause that was
Fyre Fest, right?
that's what I was thinking about. Because a lot of people were saying like the way that the Fyre Festival became so big, it was because the influencers were like, getting paid for it, and they were liking, they were validating it.
this is tough. The Fyre Festival, when I watched the documentary, is
Which one did you
Which
watch?
Okay, I watched the Netflix one. I don't have Hulu.
Okay, I watched the Netflix one
Yeah.
as well. I just recently watched it.
So it is amazing. The idea was amazing. The whole thing. The bad part about it, and for people that are interested in doing events and whatnot, logistics matter.
Absolutely.
So what Billy did was he marketed before he had the logistics down.
Yep.
So anything I'd like. So right now I have this 3-part principle whenever I do anything with anybody. First is the product, the service. So whether it's a trip, the podcast or whatever, we do the art first. If you fuck with the art, let's go to the next step. Business. The business is a contract between different parties that we can agree how we split profits and expenses.
Right, exactly.
Then lastly, Once those two are agreed upon, let's do the marketing. How are we going to tell what we'd agreed upon and what we're going to create? How are we going to get the word out and communicate it to the people that we want them to consume our product or service?
Agreed.
So what Billy did that was wrong was he did the marketing first. Like, we got the models, we got the this. Backwards on the business, promise people that, hey, if you promise the supermodels, if you come to the festival, I'm gonna have a villa for each of you individually, and you could hold 10 people.
Right.
Then he tried to figure out the logistics, and people are telling him the island is too small for what you promised, what you promoted, and what you promised contract wise.
Right.
So they were just trying to modify, but he had too much pride, ego, and he was a scammer to be like, you know what? He didn't think about it. What L I want to take today?
Right.
He's like, I'm taking no L's.
Then he started adding more shit. Like when he started adding the wristbands.
Oh man, scammer. All his business ideas, like the other one with
The Magnesis card.
amazing.
And I knew, and it's crazy because at the time I knew about it. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like I'll get perks for using this card. And it's really just your card in a
Metal.
Yeah, that's all it was.
So learn about business or whatnot. Emotions matter. So I always tell people love and hate are the same emotion.
Thin line.
Huh?
Thin line between love and hate.
Thin line. Exactly. So it's just like now, if you're trying to sell something.
Well, if we're saying it's a thin line, we're now saying they're separate. I think what you're trying to say is that they're equal.
They're separate and equal.
You're saying they're separate
But equal.
Got it. Okay.
So as much as
it's like black people and white people. It's like black people in the 1800s.
Okay.
No, that's not true.
I was like, what?
During segregation. We're separate but equal, but not really
Yeah,
equal.
but not really.
Sorry, I got to throw that.
No, it's all good.
It's
So
just like a
now,
perfect
like,
segue for
as
it.
much as you hate Donald Trump is as much as you love Will Smith. It's just like, yo, Will Smith dropped that. Oh, Donald Trump
love Will
said
Smith
that.
on Instagram.
Fuck that nigga.
I know a lot of people really are into Will Smith.
Yo, he's so cool.
He doesn't do it for me.
I don't know, but maybe
No
does it for me.
disrespect. No disrespect.
Or I don't know who's the
Nah, you could use Will
who's the-
Smith.
yeah,
man.
well,
Come on.
he's the general
stop it.
guy from America that everyone loves.
Everyone likes him.
I never heard say, yo, fuck Will Smith.
I would never say that.
Eminem said it
Said,
multiple times.
fuck Eminem, man.
Fuck Eminem too.
Yeah, for sure.
Dave, go.
Nah, I'm not doing it.
Dave, do it. You got to do it.
I'm not doing that.
you got Eminem
Every time we talk about
impersonations?
Eminem, you got to do it.
All right, fine. All right. Yo, we're floorboarding. Yo, you're floorboarding the 4 tourists getting an abortion at the same time. Yo, Blapkins, you're using too many napkins with chapstick.
I'm amused. I'm sorry.
You like that? I hate doing it, but
No, that's amazing.
I mean that's Eminem essentially.
Don't mean to cut y'all niggas off, but this is the first part. There's going to be a second part. Y'all niggas better be ready for it. You know where you can find us. You can find us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts.
What else?
You sound like Red Cafe now.
I know.
Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker.
Right.
Spotify again because we need that deal.
Damn.
You got anything you can say, Dave?
Skrr.